What's up, Top 10 Central? We back with another video for you guys, of course. And today we are looking at ungrateful brides who got left at the altar. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, 8 years ago today, my sister was left at the altar on her wedding. I was about 13, her maid of honor. He just said no and walked out when asked if he would take her to be his wife. It was horrible after. He joined the army and got married like 6 months later, and my sister moved back in with us. She stayed in my room and would cry herself to sleep every night for months. Yikes. I can't really blame him. My sister is terrible with money and had piles of debt. It just keeps getting worse. Oh my god. It's been 10 years and she's now married to a guy we all really love, but we think she made herself get pregnant recently. He doesn't want kids, and now their marriage, not even after a year, is struggling super badly. Oh my god. This girl has to have like the worst luck in the world. Like, as I'm reading this, I'm just like, this is kind of tragic. Like, first of all, she got left at her wedding, and her sister, who was 13 at the time, was talking about how her sister's terrible with money and she's lots of debt, so clearly she's not the best example for her sister. He just said no and walked out. If she, like, at that point, my life would be over. Like, I feel like there's no bouncing back or coming back from that, like, period. But the fact that this guy then joined the army and got married 6 months later, it wasn't even a year after they finished, they called off their wedding. Like, that's crazy. Deleted 6 years ago said, a guy I knew did this. He was a nice, laid-back guy marrying a toxic person. I can't get into the details because I didn't know him too well, but apparently his friends had been telling him to break it off from the beginning. That's always a red flag, but okay. They had a final intervention for him the morning of the wedding, and they finally convinced him to just leave. He showed up at this festival I was at during what was supposed to be his wedding. I saw him and said, hey man, aren't you getting married today? And he had this kind of faraway look and said, yeah, that's not happening anymore. LOL. Wait, hold on. Can you just imagine, like, you're friends with somebody and they're meant to be getting married and you just see them pop up at a festival one day and you're just like, yo, like, aren't you supposed to be at like your wedding? And they're just like, not happening anymore. Like, how do you respond to that? What conversation goes on from there? Because that's wild to me. I don't know. I'm really thinking about, oh, whoops. I'm really thinking about it and I'm like, damn, like, that's kind of wild. But like, oh yeah, that's not happening anymore. Okay, Scrappy_LaRue 6 years ago said, not at the altar, but I bailed just 2 days before we were headed to City Hall. Big yikes. It was a green... It's always the green card marriage, y'all. It's always the green card marriages, bro. It was a green card marriage. On our second date, she mentioned that her visa was expiring in 6 months, and I jokingly proposed to her. Dude, this is where you messed up. We continued dating, we're falling for each other, and that proposal became much more real as the deadline approached. Oh my god, that's kind of cute. It's giving like enemies to friends to lovers love trope. Yo, guys, I love reading, and this is giving me like a fiction book right now. Like, I'm like, that line right there would be a killer trope. Like, you could base a whole book off of that part alone. Anyways, I'm straying way off. So we continued dating, we're falling for each other, and the proposal became much more real as the deadline approached. I backed out at the last minute because we just didn't agree on a few details. Can you imagine you're starting to actually fall for someone who you jokingly proposed to, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Living arrangements and finances were easy. What couldn't be negotiated was how seriously either of us wanted to take these vows. I wanted to at least attempt to be a married, monogamous couple. She didn't really want to commit to that. Whoa. If she falls deeper in love, great. If not, we're just roommates. I miss her, but I think I dodged a bullet. I believe she would have vanished on me at some point, and I could be in a real jam over immigration crime. Yikes. That is messy. Wait, hold on. There's so much to break down. Like, there's so much happening in this one story. Living arrangements, finances, whatever. Oh no, he said that was the easy part. What they were negotiating was how serious either of them wanted to take their vows. If you had to be questioning that, you shouldn't be getting married, period. But I mean, I wanted to at least attempt to be married, monogamous couple. That's crazy. Leaving at the altar 2 days prior is crazy. Talking about immigration crime, that's crazy. I'm like, really, I cannot. Okay, Xavier Grayson, 6 years ago, I left my ex-fiance a month before the wedding. Backstory, I never actually proposed to her. She more or less did it to me. We were in a mall and she wanted to go to a jewelry store to look at engagement rings. I wasn't expecting to walk out of there with one, but we did. This salesperson even took a just engaged Polaroid. LOL. She became more and more controlling and I couldn't take it anymore. After I left her, her friend texted me on the day of the supposed ceremony telling me the cake was telling me the cake was delicious. My ex somehow managed to break into the email and asked me who a girl was in an email I received after I left her. I can understand her reasoning if it was before, but it wasn't. She also texted me a while after I left and told me she missed her period. An hour later, I got another text that said, never mind. Wowzers. I thought the last story was crazy. This one's insane. First of all, she proposed to him. They walked out of the engagement ring store with a whole ring. She became more and more controlling, couldn't take it anymore after I left her. Okay, so she clearly, I'm assuming she got married to another person. That's how I'm perceiving the story. The whole part about her missing her period and then telling her never mind, that is really giving me she was with another person on the side. I feel like this whole thing is meant to be like a cheating thing. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just too tired to be perceiving this correctly, but that is messy either way. Situation is terrible. Oh my God. Catherine Gannon, I hope I said that right. It might be Gannon. Cake-tastrophe. I ditched my Bridezilla fiance at the altar after finding out she'd secretly forced my mates to pay for a $7,000 cake, I believe that is. I'm assuming that's a $7,000 cake, and if that's the case, that's insane. One ex-fiance has told how he walked out on his bride-to-be at their wedding after he found out she coerced her friends into paying for their $7,000 cake. The former groom said that his fiancée started to show her true colors as the big day got closer and she got more and more demanding. He dodged a bullet in a good way, because like if she's already this demanding and whatnot, then like who knows how she'll be 10 years down the road when you've been married for 10 years and you're kind of stuck in this marriage or whatever. I don't know, that's kind of, can we just talk about the $7,000 wedding cake though? Like, I think the most I've ever had a family member pay for a cake, or I've ever seen a family member pay for cake, is like maybe $500, $600. $7,000, definitely nothing over $1,000. Like, I'm really thinking about it now. I just want to know what that wedding cake looked like, and it had to have tasted like the best wedding cake in the world, because there's no other way I'd be paying $7,000 for a cake unless it wasn't the prettiest, biggest, and most delicious wedding cake in the world. Like, absolutely not. My brother left his fiance a week before the wedding. Basically, as soon as he proposed, all she cared about was the wedding. I know a lot of girls who are like that. Like, they get really caught up in the whole like wedding and the ceremony and how it's gonna go and how perfect it has to look to everybody who's attending. And I know a lot of people who get all up in their head talking about my wedding has to be the most perfect wedding ever. It has to be better than everybody else's wedding. And I just think that's crazy. Like, I feel like you should be excited to just be celebrating your love and your life with the person that you love and having the people who you love and care about there with you. But again, that might just be me. He wanted a very small wedding and she wanted a huge one. See, I had a feeling. She was also very religious. Her father is a preacher and he was not at all. She told him she wanted to become a deacon in her father's church and he told her no, he didn't want to do that. Pretty much they were disagreeing on everything up to that point. Finally, he called it off. He said it was the hardest thing he's ever had to do, but he knew he made the right decision. I kind of agree with this one. I feel like if he was going down a path of like, he was questioning the relationship and he felt like he wasn't sure if they were going to work out in the future because they were disagreeing on so much, I feel like he did make the right decision. Even though sometimes you have to make hard decisions, I feel like a lot of the times those are good decisions to make, because he's probably in a healthy or happy relationship, or even if he's not, because relationships don't necessarily have to deem your worth, at least he learned from this experience and he can apply that to any relationship that he gets into next, whether that's with a friendship or a romantic relationship or anything. So I don't know, I feel like hats off to this guy. Well, hats off to Biscuitful's brother, because it's not actually him, but yeah. 10 years ago, Zako said an old friend of mine called off his wedding because he found out she effed some dude at her bachelorette party the weekend before. Hold on. He waited until the day of the wedding to call it off because he wanted her to have to explain it to her family, most of whom flew into town for the wedding. You guys, that is wild. Oh my God. I'm really sitting here like, whoa. Like, An old friend of mine called off his wedding because he found out she effed some dude at her bachelor party the weekend before. Girl, I am all for having a good time, but that is doing too much. You are getting married. It's not no more, let's have one last final night. No, no, no. You are a taken woman. You cannot do that. And then the fact that he had the patience and he was so petty, which like kind of deserved, but still, he had the patience and was so petty to wait until the wedding to call it off so she could tell her family who flew in to see this wedding why he wasn't getting married to her because she cheated on him. That is crazy. Yo, people are wild. That is oh my god, and that's the last one too. That is a crazy way to end the video, you guys. Comment down below which story you thought was the most wild, or if you have any crazy experiences of anybody you know who got left at the altar, or maybe you got left at the altar and you want to let me know. Tell me in the comments below. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Michaela. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel to help us grow, and I will see y'all in the next Top 10 Central. Peace out.